Hi, this is the Fear of Being Selfish video part 3, talking about self care, physical, personal, and the most neglected, perhaps, professional and workplace self care. It's all about banishing the fear of being selfish. Welcome. If you've not been here before, I'm Carrie. I'm the kitchen table shrink. I'm also a licensed counselor. I have been for years, years, and years. And my job here, what I plan to do with this channel, is to share skills and teach things that I have found that my friends, I myself, as well as my therapy clients, have found useful for everyday problems, everyday interpersonal stuff, or everyday stressors or anxieties. So let's get to it. So I just want to point out that I've put the two previous videos on selfishness and self-care listed below in the comments, in the description rather. And there's also a PDF of the self-care wheel that talks about these six aspects. Anyway, let's start today with a little piece of self-care, a little hands over heart practice. Yeah. What you do is you just place your hands on your heart and you take a few slow, deep breaths. And the physical touch combined with the breath, the slow breath, besides making you a little bit chill, which is what already happened to me, but the physical touch and the breath together help signal to your central nervous system that you're safe. And this is important stuff to feel every day. Today is about talking about the last three of these six kinds of or aspects of self-care: emotional, spiritual, mental. We talked about that in the second video. Physical, personal, and professional. Talked about a little bit of each of these various places along the way, but today we're really going to focus on them. Self-care, as I've said before, is what it means when the uh, flight attendant on an airplane tells you when the air drops because of cabin pressure change, you put the mask over yourself, breathe, and then you put it on the toddler you may be with, or your elderly mother, or whomever else. Because the more you do self-care, the more you're there, more you have the ability to help those who are less able, those in your family, those who are your loved ones. This is important. This is important. Take care of you so you can take care of them. Not that that's necessarily your goal in life. You can be like me, on your own and not need to take care of other people, but you still need to do self care. Anyway, so starting first with the physical, that's movement, exercise. Go golfing, take a walk, go bowling. Maybe the small exercise I mentioned also in part one, besides this one, is that, setting a timer for 30 seconds and just shake your body, wiggle your hands, your fingers, your shoulders, you know, waggle your arms. It can seem kind of silly, but like I was saying before, don't take yourself too seriously. Silly is good. Silly is good. Laughter is one of the most healing things there is out there. Now I'm going to talk about something very serious here. Self-care, and there's a nice balance between, um, say, personal and physical self-care. When you take care of yourself physically, you're also taking care of yourself personally. And my perfect example for this, and this one is also about taking care of the other ones, the young ones in your family, is wear a bike helmet when you are biking, whether or not a kid's with you. If you're taking kid out, especially if you're going out with your children, wear a helmet too. There's lots of reasons. One is that when they see that the adults aren't wearing them, but they can't wait to grow up and be grown up so they don't have to wear one, puts them in danger sooner. And presumably you put it on your little one because they're in danger or potential danger. But the most important to me is that when, well, let me put it this way: the most important possession your child has is you, mom or dad. Most important possessions. So why would you risk having your child lose their most important possession by not taking care of yourself by wearing a helmet. My kids, I was very fortunate. My kids, it was the era of Lance Armstrong before the whole doping thing became clear. But my ex used to say, Lance Armstrong always wore a helmet. My kids were very good about it because it was their hero, right? So, personal self care is you taking care of you. It's attending to your personal needs because your needs do matter. They do. They do. Take a bath, get a haircut. I've done that before. Get a massage, maybe. Treat yourself some way. Go for an ice cream cone. I've done that too. And you can do it with or without the kids because it's self care either way. But you can give yourself permission to do it on your own. My favorites, the things I tell my clients, and this is important, I will tell them to, example, set boundaries when somebody's trying to pressure you to do something, or people sometimes try to make their problem your problem. And don't get involved with between people. Oh, don't get involved with your son and his mother-in-law. Don't do it. Just say no, it's not my problem, not my business. It's for you guys to take care of. No, I heard this once. I thought it was brilliant. No is a full sentence. You don't have to explain yourself either. You know, it what it often does when you do explain yourself. No, I can't go because I got to do blank. They say, oh, I can take care of that on the way. Or we can take that, and they start to argue with you that you have the time you don't want to have. So just be honest and say, no, not tonight, not today. Another biggie, huge for me, practice gratitude. And that's a good thing to do if you journal or if you keep a notebook by your bedside to record your dreams. You might also make a page for your gratitudes, and they can be big things or little ones. They could be gratitudes for your children. They can be gratitudes for the new job. It can be a tiny little gratitude like, damn, I'm glad I got that parking space right in front of the grocery store because uh, carrying that bag of kitty litter, that's heavy. And I just do not have to take it traipse all across the parking lot. Little things like that. Be grateful for them. We don't notice them enough. We always notice the little bad things. Notice the little good things. Notice them. They're very good for you. They feed you. Another one that I used to do, I haven't done it for a while because I'm in such a good, happy place, but it's to set a positive intention for the day. It was when I worked in a workplace where we had these long 2-hour staff meetings that were just killing me when I had so many other things to do and I was bored out of my mind. But there's other things like sometimes when you're irritable, you might want to say, I see that I'm irritable today. So what I'm going to set my intention for, I'm going to take everything that happens today in the best possible way. I'm going to hear everything everybody says as a compliment. These are intentions you set for the day. How you're going to make your day good, because you do have some control over it. How your attitude takes in the stuff of the world that can be pretty ugly at times. Those are my big three for personal self-care. If you have some ideas for these things, set them in the comments below because I like to expand my repertoire and share them with each other because I'm just pulling them out of my current immediate thoughts. But there's a bucket load. There's a bucket load of ways to take care of yourself personally. Just be kind to that little, I think of it as that little Carrie inside me. That little girl, still there, still wanting a lollipop. The final one is the professional and workplace self care. I just call it professional self care, but it's for any workplace. I am tickled that my professional association, the American Counseling Association, has as one of its ethical statements, its ethical guidelines, that we do self care. And that means that a client or a coworker seeing me being negligent of my own mental well being, my own professional self care, um, that they can report me to the ACA, to the professional board. Now, that's not why I do it, but I think it's a very good positive reinforcement for people to do self care in the workplace. Certainly, people who look after other people, because we want to be able to be there. I have to take care of me so that I can be there for my clients and I can do this kind of thing to help spread the word. Research says that employees um, when they take breaks now and again, are up to 30%, 30%, a third more productive and engaged um, once they do so, or than other employees. They have lower stress and burnout rates. Important to know. This is true also for people who are working for themselves, like me. Um, and it's important that when you're self employed, you still recognize you have stressors. They're different than the workplace. I used to have to go to these very boring, very long staff meetings, sleepers, and I had so much else to do, and it was frustrating not to be able to get those things done. But on working on my own, I get other kinds of stressors. I don't have a paycheck no matter what happens. When I get sick, I'm out of work, I'm out of pay. So there are different kinds of stressors, and you have some whether you work for others or if you work for yourself. So self-care is important for us both. The time involved, the time dedicated and invested in little ways to do self-care, to recharge yourself. So I consider it like filling a gas tank. They pay off in greater happiness, greater attitude, both at work and for yourself. And it helps you do your best work, keeps you sharp, energized, and just resilient in general. In the past 10 years or so, certainly before COVID, companies increasingly encouraged this. But there are some more places like schools, my children are both school teachers, can feel like they're in prison for the duration. But even then, even when you're sort of stuck, you can't go very far, go out, or take a lunch break for an hour and a half. There are things you can do, and I have a list of I think it's 10 maybe of good work-life balance things to do to keep yourself from overworking. My European friends say that Americans work too hard and too much, and I don't think they're wrong. So here are my suggestions, and I'm going to read them from the list if you'll forgive me. Don't take any more clients than you can reasonably manage if you work for yourself like me. And do not leave your billing till the last priority. Do it every month or do it regularly and do it as a first priority. Pay you and you'll be in the best place to take care of your clients or whoever is paying you. If you are not able to, if you are already overbooked, your schedule is already packed to the gills, do not take on more. Say no. No is one of the best words in the English language. Short, but packs a punch. And there's some ways to say that, like if somebody comes to you, I'd like to help, but today's super busy for me. Now, of course, that leaves you open for tomorrow. But maybe tomorrow you won't be so busy. Or you could say this week or whatever. I'm afraid I can't take on additional tasks right now. Uh, I'm fully booked, something like that. And you might even say, how about checking with so and so? But I do suggest that you ask this other colleague. But somebody might have more time. This may be your department's heavy time, or your particular person. Your job's heavy time, and not so much for a colleague. And so be straight up. Do not take on more than you can do appropriately. Do well. Another one, which is get rid of the perfectionism. Get the job done. It doesn't have to be the best novel you've ever written. It just needs to be the job done. It doesn't have to be sparkling, doesn't have to glitter. It needs to be the job done. Completely, yes, but don't go nuts over perfectionism. And as I mentioned briefly before, taking little breaks. Do a walk, do some stretching. Walk down to the lunchroom, cup of tea or a glass of water. Um, and go outside, take a walk around the building. I did that in an urban workplace at one time. It was kind of boring. Um, but it did get me out. And in the springtime, it was wonderful because there were birds. Just got me out of that environment, got me some better air. Do this little thing out there. Very good for you. When you take a break, if you work on screen all day, this is not so for the guy who stands in the flagman standing in the street and the roads where they're doing construction. But if you work at a screen all day like I do, choose something other than phone scrolling or playing games in your tablet when you take a break. Even if it's reading a newspaper. Um, Especially if you're a remote worker, we have a tendency to do everything our whole lives online. Not good, not good. Got to do something else. Got to do something else with our eyes and our minds. Another one is decorate your workspace. This one was offered to me by one of my clients, and I think it was a big deal. I think it was important. Um, I personally think one, pictures that make you laugh or funny events or good times when you were partying are very helpful. I keep a couple of pictures from my kids, the most recent visits they made. One of my favorites is mindfulness. And I don't mean mindfulness like, oh God, I can't clear my mind. I don't know what you mean. I mean guided meditations that you can get on phone apps. And clients tell me, and I have also looked into both of these, that these are particularly good ones, but there's loads out there. Pick one that you like. These two are called Headspace and Calm. I don't personally use them, but I have listened to them to try them out to see if see if they might be appropriate for my clients. Some of them do like them. One of them has stories that are read like bedtime stories, but they're for adults. Um, and so there's a wide variety of kinds of meditative or mind relaxing things. There's also some on YouTube. One I don't know who the author is, but it's called Sleep Stories. Stay away from overtime and taking work home. Do not do it. Nope. You were paid for this job. And I don't mean, every now and again there's a big push. There's, especially if you work for yourself, something you got to get done for the first thing in the morning. I get it. Once in a while, fine. But do not make it a habit to do overtime or take your work home. My dad was a school teacher in a high school, and it was his rule. And I thought it was good at the time when I was a kid. He didn't bring his work home, gave him more energy for us. And he said he never brought his schoolwork home. And teachers often do grading at the dining room table, right? But he refused to. I must say, it did make me feel like he prioritized us by doing so. If you work for yourself, it's the same. When you close your day, close your day. It's best if you can have your office in a room that's not, oh, definitely not your bedroom, but not your living space, not your living room either. That's pretty much it. All about having energy for your family. If you have some ideas yourself, good ones, bad ones, purple ones, green ones, I would love to pick your brains. I'd love you to have them mention them down below in the comments. I like comments, I like feedback. And I look forward to seeing you next time. But remember, the hardest part of all this is giving yourself those things, being able to listen to your own needs. That's huge. That's important. In review, self-care is not selfish. It benefits others by in the community by not taking up the ER. If you take care of yourself along the way, do more preventive stuff, you won't end up in the ER. If you take care of yourself on an ongoing basis, it's just like looking after your car. You take it in for oil change. It's the same sort of thing. It also, because of that, it helps free up resources for everybody else, and it keeps it from healthcare costs from rising, and they rise like crazy in this country. It also helps you be the best you can be for your loved ones, which is my most that's the point I'm trying to get across. And it teaches your kids that they matter because they see that you believe that you matter. They will learn that they matter too, especially girls who are sort of raised to look after other people. And that is why I talk about the bike helmet. When you take care of yourself, you're definitely taking care of your little person. All right. Again, comments down below. Delighted to hear from them. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.